Okay, before I talk about the Nikon 35mm f1.4 lens, it's the Z-mount lens. If you've never been to my website, would encourage you to visit. There's a lot of photos here. There's no advertising, no, no nothing. Basically, it's just photos. I don't even sell anything here. This is just a hobby. Thus the name, the photography hobbyist. If you scroll down, this is basically a collection of my favorite photos for whatever reason. I just enjoy those photos. All these photos I've made. It's also here in this gallery. But if you click over here on the top left, that's probably why you're here. That'll be the camera gear galleries, and I've got a lot of different cameras and lenses. And these are all things that I've owned, and sometimes not for very long. Returned them for various reasons, like the Sony a6400 went back pretty quickly, and the Panasonic LX100 Mark II, I believe it was. So anyway, here we go. Let's look at the Nikon 35mm f1.4. I have a note here at the top, and I did return the lens. I don't know if it's just a matter of me being kind of spoiled by the S-line lens, but I don't think that's really it. It's just, I'll talk about that here in just a second. So here's kind of the trigger that made me send the lens back. Shooting into the sun is right over here, of course, and there's this long flare, green, mostly green, a little bit of blue, purple. Next photo, not as bad. This actually looks pretty good except for this bright green spot right here. And there's another blob right here, lens flare. Overall, the lens is pretty good. I mean, there's lots of reviews out there that talk about the detail of the lens, the image quality and so on. I really like this photo, for example. This is a really good one. I like that. Just the character of the image. Um, I did have the 35mm f1.8 S-line lens in the past, and that went away because I briefly switched, which was kind of a bad idea. But I bought the Fuji X-H2, and I really love that camera, but that was right before the Nikon Z8 came out, and I had no idea what the Z8 would be. I thought it might have been bigger and a lot more expensive, but it wasn't as big and wasn't as expensive as I thought. And my preference being generally Nikon, I kind of switched back to Nikon and start over again with a couple nice lenses. And I decided to try this 35mm f1.4. And again, well, one thing it's nice about that I do like about it compared to the f1.8 S-line lens is the focus ring is that rubbery material. It's not metal like on the other lens, the f1.8 lens, where it can gonna get scratched up. And this is more comfortable in winter when it's cold. If you're not wearing gloves, which I usually don't, if I'm making photos. And also it has this other ring back here, which I can assign the aperture to. And on the ZF, which is the ZF here, and it's got the Neewer um, what grip, the grip on there. Um, Using this ring makes changing the aperture a lot easier instead of reaching right here where I'd normally change the aperture. Um, Here's some more views of that lens. But overall, I mean, this is going to be kind of a short video, but I did like the images overall, but the flare and, just I knew it was not going to be as sharp as the f1.8 S-line lens. Um, and is definitely not. And it's what was a little bit disappointing to me compared to the other Nikon Z-mount lenses, and I'll kind of go into this now. I knew this would not be as sharp as the f1.8, but even the cheapo lenses like the 50 to 250 and the 16 to 50 for the DX line, those lenses I don't remember ever having this flare like right here. I don't remember those lenses. They're much cheaper than this. They're some of Nikon's cheapest zoom lenses, for the DX, the APS-C format sensors, like the ZFC, the Z50, Z30, those cameras. And I like those lenses better than this. And, I had this for maybe 2 weeks, and I don't like to return anything. I generally like to keep what I buy. And because I buy it with the intention of keeping it, I didn't buy it just for a review. But after that lens flare, that was kind of the final straw right here. I just decided to send it back and follow my original plan, which is probably uh, saving for a super nice lens, which is a lens that'll be better than anything I've ever bought in the past, and that would be the Nikon Z 135 millimeter f1.8 Plena lens, which would be just an outstanding lens. It's kind of a specialty lens, not something I would really take out and use unless it's out away from home, unless it's a location I've been to before, because you're not going to be shooting a variety of subjects with a 135 millimeter lens, and that's what I usually like to do. That's why I use 24 to 120 most of the time. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this lens and why I sent it back. I mean, if you don't mind it being a little less sharp, which I really didn't, wide open, I guess, is where you get the least amount of sharpness. 1.4. And again, some of the other cheaper Nikon lenses, Z mount lenses, are just, in my opinion, better than this one. Um, and I wish they would have went a little bit further with this one, but you can obviously make some really great photos with it. So, this might be something you're really interested in. Um, but for me, and since I don't really need prime lenses too often or want to use them too often, it just really wasn't worth keeping it. So I decided to send it back. And if I'm going to get a prime lens, I might as well go big and get the Plena, but that's over $2,000, so it's going to take a little bit to save for that. So anyway, that's it. And again, if you want to visit my website, there's all kinds of stuff in here. There's some special galleries just dedicated to things like travel, and these are just places I've been, and they're um, photos from those trips. But if you go back to here, go back to the main page and click on vacation and short trips, there's all kinds of stuff in here, like let's go to New Mexico. So there's this, and I don't know how to categorize some of these. So if it's not something historic, I've got parks, cruises, historic sites, landmarks, museums, and kind of everything else falls under here. So, this New Mexico site, for example, this is a famous photo that Ansel Adams had shot. So I tried to replicate that. This was with my Z7. Yeah, the original Z7 in the 24 to 200 actually, which is a great lens. If you need a super zoom, that's the best super zoom I've ever used. So I'll stop with that, and thanks for watching.